Hi, welcome to Blake's Cakes. Today I'm going to tell you how to make a slightly complicated cupcake with multiple elements going on at once. It can be a bit of a bear in the kitchen when you're trying to think of one thing for the ganache and one thing for your cupcakes and one thing for your buttercream. It gets a little overwhelming, but there's a simple trick to keep it going all at once and make sure that you get your cupcake tip-top. We're going to start with the cupcake. You want to start creaming your butter, and you want to have your butter sitting out for a little bit just before you make your cupcake. You want it to be about 65 to 68 degrees. I know you can't tell the exact temperature of your cupcake, but you don't want it to be too mushy and you don't want it to be too cold. So you're going to start creaming your cupcake. And a common misconception is that people try to use the blend, the whisk, when they're creating the cupcake batter. You always want to use the paddle because it stops you from over churning your batter and over mixing your batter. So we'll start by putting the butter in. And we'll get that going early just to kind of try to cream it a little. And while you cream it, I know that's loud and I'm sorry. While you're creaming it, you want that to go for about 2 minutes so you can actually get started on your other elements. I have my water starting to boil here for my ganache that's going to go in the center of my cupcake. So I have about maybe half a cup to a cup of water in there, and I have it on about 8 to high on your stove. And then I have 8 ounces of bittersweet chocolate. Now this isn't semi-sweet, this isn't milk chocolate, it's bittersweet chocolate. In a glass bowl. So we've got our chocolate boiling in our double boiler, self-made double boiler, unless you have one at home. But we also have to get started on the flavoring. And I guess I didn't tell you what we're making. I know it's not St. Patrick's Day, but everybody loves a good Irish Car Bomb Cupcake. It's the cupcake I can think of that's the most complicated. It has tons of different elements, and I'm going to show you, again, how to make it simple. So we want to get the flavor for that cupcake, right? So you need a stout. You can use a chocolate stout. I like to use the Guinness Extra Stout because it gives that extra bit of flavor so that it won't bake off. So I've got 1 cup of that, and we're going to place it just in a regular saucepan and simmer that on probably about medium-high, a little bit over medium. So we'll have that simmering while we have our chocolate baking, and we already have our butter starting to cream. So what we want to do is we want to, once it's a little bit creamy, and it is, we add our sugar. I have about 2 cups of sugar here, and that can vary based upon what you like. It's usually about a cup and a quarter, or cup and 3/4, or 2 cups of sugar. So you'll want to add the sugar right on top of your butter, and try to get it in there. I missed, but that's okay. So you're going to cream your butter and your sugar on a medium now. And as you're doing that, you're going to take your eggs and you're going to crack them one at a time. And let that cream again for about 2 to 3 minutes. By now, your chocolate stout should be getting a bit of a simmer on it. And what you're going to do is you're going to take about a cup and a half to a cup and 3/4 of unsweetened cocoa, and you're going to add the cocoa to your chocolate stout. And mix that up right here on your saucepan. One thing I like to do is I always have multiple spatulas or whisk salve, so that you're not trying to clean off every spatula in between from one element to another. You can actually use this spatula or whisk to mix on your saucepan here. And then while you're keeping an eye on your chocolate for the ganache, take another spatula and make sure to get that all mixed up. It's starting to melt a little bit over here, so that's good. We want to try to get some of the melted, hotter chocolate on top of the unmelted chocolate so that it creates that effect all throughout and it gets it nice and creamy. Make sure you remember which spatula is which. So now we've got our butter, our sugar, and our eggs creaming. And what you can do to get ready is I've got sifted flour. This is 2 cups of sifted flour. I always sift my flour. It makes for a lighter, fluffier cupcake, not quite as heavy. And then you're going to want to put about 1.5 teaspoons of baking soda right into your flour. And this is my little secret. This is actually potato starch. And you wouldn't think this, but potato starch acts kind of similar to a baking soda, but it actually makes your cake stay moister longer. So I add typically about 2 tablespoons of potato starch. You can find that at Giant Eagle or your closer grocer's freezer. And then what I do is I add just a little bit, about maybe half a teaspoon, not much, of salt. You're just going to mix that up and have that ready to go. That looks like my sugar, butter, and eggs are ready. So I'm going to take my stout mixture, that's the cup of stout and the chocolate. And I'm going to get that right into this mixture. That's a little complicated. You might have a better way to do this. I haven't perfected this way yet. Alright, now here's where you need this garlic. Once you've got that all mixed up in there, you'll actually start adding your flour mixture. Now what I like to do is I like to typically add it a heaping spoonful at a time or a half a cup at a time, just so that it's not kind of pouring out everywhere. And you can do this pretty quickly. And once you have half of your dry mixture in your wet mixture, my other secret recipe is actually sour cream. It also helps keep it moist. So once you have half your dry mixture in, start adding about a spoonful at a time, and this is 2 cups of sour cream. So now we're making sure that once we've got our mixture, cake batter all set and ready to go, we're keeping an eye on our chocolate for our ganache. So I've got it to a point where the ganache or the chocolate is all melted and smooth. And you want no little pieces in there. Well, Scout's coming in to try to check everything out. He smells the chocolate. So you want no little pieces in here. And what you're going to do is you're going to add in about a cup of heavy cream. So you'll actually let that go, let that sit right on top of the chocolate for about 3 minutes. I'm going to do this a little bit more quickly this time, but usually let it sit for about 2 to 3 minutes and kind of let the chocolate cool a little bit underneath it. And then after that, you add 2 tablespoons of butter, mix it all in until it's smooth, and then you just keep it on top of the heat. Then you might want to go up to like a medium-high. And once you add in all your powdered sugar, it's going to take a little while. You'll do about a tablespoon of vanilla, and then for this particular cupcake, since it's an Irish Car Bomb cupcake, we obviously want to give it that Irish Car Bomb flavor. So I'm going to add 3 to 4 tablespoons of this Bailey's Irish cream, or a similar Irish cream, to make sure that it actually tastes like you're eating a style cupcake with the Irish whiskey ganache and a Bailey's buttercream frosting. So let's finish this off and we'll see how they look. Okay, so we've got our cupcakes out of the oven and they look spectacular. They're really light and lightweight, which is great, and that's kind of what you want in a cupcake. So we're going to get ready to actually put the finishing touches and all of our elements together that we started off in the beginning. So what I've got here is a little cupcake core from Williams-Sonoma. You can use a knife or your finger if you make sure to wash your hands first. But I love this little thing. It comes in handy for so many reasons. So all I do is I take the cupcake in the palm of my hand, put the cupcake core right in the center of the cupcake, push down, turn, pull out, and you've got a delicious little sample. Tastes great. So what we want to do when we have the cupcake poured is we'll take our ganache. And I've already got the rest of my 24 cupcakes all set and ready to go with the ganache in the center. Make sure you give it a good stir with that extra Jameson in there. And just pull a spoonful or 2 and fill the ganache in the center of the cupcake. And what's great is this ganache is really, really smooth and creamy right now because we just took it off the oven. Oh, that tastes so good. But it will actually get a little bit more firm. It'll still have a nice, it'll taste like melted chocolate chips kind of when you're done, except with a little bit of a kick to it. So now we've got our cupcake all ready to go. Put it on our tray with the rest of our cupcakes. And behind the scenes, I filled my piping bag filled with all of the delicious Bailey's buttercream that we worked on earlier. And all we're going to do is we take our buttercream, figure out which tip you like the best. I like the star tip, which is my favorite. It looks really nice when it's done. And then you'll take it, start on the outside of the cupcake, pipe, and there you have it. And that is our Irish Car Bomb Cupcake. And I'm going to get to work on finishing the rest of these cupcakes because they look delicious and I can't wait to dig into them. So thanks for coming and joining us today on Blake's Cakes. I hope you enjoyed making Irish Car Bomb Cupcakes with me and that you'll put that to the test when you make a complex cupcake later.